Have you ever wondered if something you take every single day, something that was supposed to help you, could actually be the very reason you're struggling with painful bloating, sluggish digestion, and chronic severe constipation? I want you to picture this for a moment. You wake up in the morning, your stomach feels heavy, you feel like you're carrying around a balloon of discomfort inside you, and no matter how much water you drink or how many high-fiber foods you eat, your gut just doesn't work the way it used to. You may even think it's just stress, age, or hormones. But what if the truth is far more shocking? What if the medication that sits quietly on your bedside table, the one you swallow without a second thought, is silently destroying your gut health day after day? Today, I'm going to open your eyes to something that doctors rarely talk about in detail, something that can change your entire perspective on constipation and digestive health. This is not about blaming you for taking medications. This is about empowering you with knowledge so you can have informed conversations with your healthcare providers and finally reclaim your gut health. And before we dive deep into this eye-opening topic, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Drop a comment below telling me your country or city, because it's always amazing to see our community from all over the world come together for better health. Now let's begin. For decades, people have been told that constipation is mostly about fiber intake, hydration, and lifestyle. And yes, those things matter a lot, but there is a darker, quieter culprit behind chronic constipation that doesn't get nearly enough attention. Certain medications, especially the ones many of us take regularly for conditions like blood pressure, pain, or depression, can drastically slow down the movement of your intestine, reduce the amount of water in your stool, and disrupt the healthy bacteria in your gut. This doesn't just lead to mild constipation. For some, it leads to severe, life-altering constipation that feels impossible to solve. What's even scarier is that because these medications are prescribed for legitimate reasons, most people never suspect them. They might change their diets, buy expensive probiotics, or do every cleanse under the sun, yet still feel bloated, heavy, and blocked up because the root cause isn't being addressed. Take a second to think about how your gut works. Your intestines aren't just a hollow tube. They're a living, moving, sensitive system. The muscles in your intestinal walls contract in a rhythmic pattern called peristalsis to move food and waste along. Your nervous system and your gut microbiome send constant signals back and forth to keep everything working smoothly. But when you take certain medications, especially over the long term, that natural rhythm slows down dramatically. The nerves can become less responsive. The muscles can lose their tone. The bacteria that help you digest and create soft stools can be wiped out or shifted. All of this creates the perfect storm for hard, dry, painful stools that are difficult to pass. You may feel like your body is betraying you, when in reality, it's reacting to something you're putting into it every day. One of the biggest offenders is a class of medications many people never associate with constipation: opioid painkillers. Drugs like codeine, hydrocodone, oxycodone, and morphine are extremely effective at reducing pain, but they also have a powerful effect on the gut. They bind to opioid receptors in the intestine, which slows down peristalsis dramatically. They also increase the absorption of fluid from the stool, making it much harder and drier. This is why nearly everyone who takes opioids for more than a few days experiences constipation. And for those who take them long term, this can become a severe, chronic issue that doesn't respond to fiber or water intake. People often feel embarrassed to talk about it, but it's not their fault. It's the drug's effect on their body. But opioids aren't the only problem. Another common category of medications that can wreck your gut health is anticholinergic drugs. These include certain antihistamines for allergies, some medications for overactive bladder, certain antidepressants, and even some drugs for Parkinson's disease. Anticholinergics work by blocking the action of acetylcholine, a chemical messenger involved in muscle contractions, including the contractions of your intestines. When those contractions slow down, your stool sits in the colon longer, more water is absorbed out of it, and you end up with hard, painful stools that feel impossible to pass. Many people don't even realize their allergy medication or their bladder pill could be causing their constipation. Even more surprising, some of the most prescribed blood pressure medications, like calcium channel blockers, are notorious for causing constipation. Drugs like verapamil and diltiazem relax the muscles of your blood vessels to lower blood pressure, but they can also relax the muscles of your intestine, slowing things down. If you're over 50 and on blood pressure medication, and you've noticed your digestion changing, this could be why. And then there are the less obvious culprits. Iron supplements, which are often prescribed for anemia, can cause severe constipation because iron is very binding in the gut. Certain antacids, especially those containing aluminum, can also slow your bowel movement. Even antidepressants, especially the older tricyclic types, can significantly reduce gut motility. The point here isn't to scare you away from your medications. Many of them are necessary and even life-saving. The point is to raise awareness so you can recognize the connection, talk to your doctor, and explore options to manage or offset these side effects. You might be thinking, but I've been taking these pills for years and I've always been fine. That's a common experience. Your gut may have tolerated a medication for a long time, but as you age, your digestive system becomes more sensitive. The nerves slow down, the muscles lose some of their tone, and your microbiome becomes less resilient. A dose that was fine at 40 might cause constipation at 60. This is why chronic constipation often seems to creep up out of nowhere, even though their diet hasn't changed. So what can you do if you suspect your medication is contributing to your constipation? The first and most important step is to never stop or change your medication without talking to your healthcare provider. Suddenly stopping some medications can be dangerous. Instead, have an honest conversation with your doctor or pharmacist. Tell them about your constipation symptom. Ask if your medication could be the cause. In many cases, there may be alternative drugs with fewer gut side effects, or your doctor might adjust your dosage. Meanwhile, there are steps you can take to support your gut health, even while on these medications. Staying hydrated is critical, but it's not enough on its own. You also need to focus on the type of fiber you eat. Soluble fiber, found in foods like oats, chia seeds, and psyllium husk, absorbs water and forms a gel that helps soften stools. Insoluble fiber, found in vegetables and whole grains, adds bulk but can sometimes make constipation worse if you're severely blocked. That's why it's important to increase fiber gradually and pair it with plenty of fluids. Probiotics can also help. Your gut microbiome is like a garden, and medications can act like a storm that wipes out your beneficial bacteria. Taking a high-quality probiotic or eating fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, or kimchi can help restore balance. Some strains, like Bifidobacterium lactis, have been shown to improve bowel movement frequency in people with constipation. Movement is another powerful tool. Your intestines are muscles, and just like any muscle, they respond to movement. Walking, gentle stretching, or yoga can stimulate peristalsis and help get things moving again. Even just 15 minutes of light exercise after meals can make a difference. And perhaps most importantly, don't ignore the urge to go. When you feel the urge to have a bowel movement, try to respond promptly. Holding it in allows more water to be absorbed from the stool, making it harder. Establishing a regular routine, such as sitting on the toilet at the same time every morning, can help train your body. But none of these lifestyle changes will fully fix the problem if the root cause is a medication that is severely slowing your gut. That's why awareness is so powerful. Once you recognize the connection, you can work with your doctor to find solutions, whether that's switching medications, adjusting dosages, or adding targeted treatment like stool softener, pro-motility aid, or even prescription medications specifically designed for opioid-induced constipation. This topic can feel overwhelming, especially if you're dealing with multiple medications, chronic pain, or serious health conditions, but you're not alone. Millions of people struggle with medication-induced constipation every day. By understanding the hidden impact of these drugs, you're already taking the first step toward relief. I want to pause here and connect with you directly. Have you ever experienced sudden or worsening constipation after starting a new medication? If you feel comfortable, share your story in the comments. Sometimes just knowing you're not alone can be incredibly healing. And don't forget to let me know where you're watching from today. Our community is global, and your comment might inspire someone else who's going through the same thing. When we start to uncover the hidden link between medications and constipation, something very interesting happens. People begin to connect the dots in their own lives. They think back to when their constipation started, and they realize it often lines up exactly with when they began a new prescription. Maybe you started blood pressure medication 5 years ago, and around that same time you noticed that you were going less frequently, or your stools were becoming harder. Maybe you began an antidepressant during a difficult period in your life, and not long after you started feeling like your gut had slowed down. Maybe you were prescribed iron tablets after your doctor found you were anemic, and suddenly you couldn't pass stools without straining. These connections are often missed because we're told constipation is just a normal part of getting older or a side effect of stress. But the reality is that for many people, the real trigger is sitting in a little bottle on the nightstand. The frustration that comes with this situation is enormous. People often feel like they're doing everything right. They drink plenty of water, they eat salads, They try fiber supplements, and yet they still feel blocked up and heavy. The truth is that no amount of kale or flax seeds can fully overcome the chemical effect that certain medications have on the intestine. It's like trying to run uphill with a heavy backpack on your back. You can make progress, but the extra weight is always pulling you down. And that's why it's so important to recognize when medication is part of the picture. Because when you know, you can take action with your doctor to lighten that load and give your gut a chance to heal. One of the reasons this issue is so overlooked is because constipation is not considered life-threatening. Doctors are trained to prioritize conditions like heart disease, infections, or cancer. And while constipation rarely kills directly, it destroys quality of life in ways that are hard to explain unless you've lived it. Imagine waking up every day feeling full, sluggish, and uncomfortable. Not because you ate too much, but because your body hasn't eliminated properly for days. Imagine sitting at a family dinner, but being unable to enjoy your food because you're already bloated and uncomfortable. Imagine straining so hard in the bathroom that you start to dread going, which then makes you hold it in even longer, worsening the cycle. This is not just an inconvenience, this is suffering, and it deserves to be taken seriously. When I talk to people about this issue, one of the most heartbreaking things I hear is how much shame they carry. Constipation is not a topic most people want to discuss openly. They'll tell their doctor they're tired or that they feel bloated, but they won't always admit how long it's been since their last proper bowel move. They won't always talk about the tears, the pain, or the hours spent in the bathroom feeling like a prisoner of their body. But let me say this clearly. There is no shame in this. Constipation is not a reflection of who you are. It's not laziness, it's not weakness, and it's not your fault. In many cases, it's a direct result of a medication your body is reacting to, and that is something outside of your control. If you've ever felt isolated or embarrassed because of constipation, I want you to know that you are not alone. Millions of people around the world are quietly struggling with the same issue. They're sitting in waiting rooms, standing in pharmacy line, or lying awake at night, wondering why their gut has turned against them. And the truth is, many of them don't even realize that their medication is part of the problem. By opening up this conversation, we can remove the stigma and shine a light on the real causes. Because once you understand the cause, you can finally find solutions that work. Let's take a closer look at some of the medications that are most notorious for causing constipation and why they affect your gut so strongly. We already talked about opioids, which slow down intestinal movement dramatically. But did you know that even some over-the-counter medications can have similar effects? Take certain cold and cough medicines, for example. Many of them contain decongestants or antihistamines that can dry out your body, including your stool. That means the same pill that clears your sinuses might also be setting you up for days of constipation. Then there are the antidepressants, especially the older tricyclic antidepressants, like amitriptyline. These drugs can be life-saving for mental health, but they also block neurotransmitters that help your gut muscles contract. And newer antidepressants, while sometimes less severe, can still affect bowel function in subtle ways. People often think of depression as affecting only the mind, but the gut-brain connection is so strong that the very medications designed to balance brain chemistry often end up disrupting gut chemistry at the same time. Blood pressure medications like calcium channel blockers are another hidden culprit. Drugs like verapamil are very effective for lowering blood pressure, but they can also slow down the smooth muscles in the intestine. If you've noticed that your constipation started after you began treating high blood pressure, this connection is worth exploring. Iron supplements, while not technically prescription medications in every case, are another major cause of constipation. Iron binds strongly in the intestines, and while it's important for blood health, it can make your stool hard and painful. This is especially tricky because anemia itself can make you feel weak and sluggish, so you might blame your fatigue entirely on low iron, while ignoring the constipation that the treatment itself is causing. Antacids containing aluminum are another surprising culprit. People often take these to relieve acid reflux, but they can slow down gut motility as a side effect. And when you combine these with other constipation-inducing medications, the problem multiplies. So, what can you do if you recognize yourself in this description? The first step is honesty with your healthcare provider. Tell them exactly what you're experiencing. Don't downplay it or assume it's not important. Constipation might not be life-threatening, but it is life-changing, and your doctor needs to understand that. In many cases, there are alternative medications that can be tried, or there may be strategies to reduce the side effects. Sometimes even small changes in timing or dosage can make a difference. But beyond medical adjustments, you have more power than you think to support your gut. Remember, Your digestive system is incredibly responsive to lifestyle changes, even if it feels stubborn. Gentle daily movement, hydration, stress reduction, and mindful eating can all help. But one of the most powerful tools is knowledge. Knowing which medications are working against you gives you the clarity to stop blaming yourself and start working with your body instead of against it. At this point, I want to pause and ask you something very important. Have you ever noticed your constipation got worse after starting a new medication? Maybe it was painkillers after a surgery, or maybe it was when you began taking blood pressure medication. Share your experience in the comments. Your story could be the key that helps someone else connect the dots in their own life. And while you're there, please consider subscribing to the channel. We talk about real, life-changing health topics that most people are too embarrassed to bring up, and your support means the world. In fact, if you agree that constipation caused by medication is something more people should be aware of, you can simply copy and paste this phrase in the comments. I want more people to know about the hidden side effects of medications. That one sentence can help spread awareness and let others know they're not alone. When we share, we create a ripple effect. Think about it. Someone scrolling through the comments might see your story and suddenly realize, wait, that's me too. They might finally have the courage to talk to their doctor, to stop suffering in silence, and to take back control of their gut health. You never know how much impact your words can have. So many people feel powerless when it comes to constipation, especially when medications are in. But the truth is, you are not powerless. You may not be able to stop taking the medication immediately, but you can take small, meaningful steps to protect your gut. You can explore dietary changes, like increasing soluble fiber slowly and consistently. You can experiment with probiotics or fermented foods to replenish your gut bacteria. You can add gentle movement into your daily routine, even if it's just walking after dinner. And most importantly, you can advocate for yourself with your healthcare provider. You can ask questions, request alternatives, and express clearly how much constipation is impacting your life. The journey might not be easy, but every step you take to care for your gut is a step toward freedom from the heaviness, the discomfort, and the shame. And remember, you are not walking this path alone. This community is here, I am here, and together we can shine a light on the truth that's been kept in the shadows for far too long. When we start to bring all of this together, something powerful happens. People begin to understand that constipation is not just a random curse or something they're doomed to live with forever. It is a message from the body, a signal that something deeper is happening, and in many cases, that something is directly tied to the very medications we trust to keep us alive, calm our pain, or manage our health conditions. And here's the thing, most people don't realize constipation isn't just about discomfort in the bathroom. It affects everything: your energy, your sleep, your mood, your appetite, and even the way you see yourself. If you've ever felt heavy and bloated in your own skin, if you've ever lost interest in food you normally enjoy because your gut already feels too full, if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, why do I feel so weighed down? Then you know constipation isn't just physical. It becomes emotional, and it can even be spiritual, making you feel stuck in more ways than one. I want to take you for a moment into what's happening inside your body when medication-induced constipation takes over. Your intestines, which are normally like a gentle river carrying everything along smoothly, become like a stagnant pond. The flow slows, the water evaporates, and everything starts to harden and dry. The stool that should pass easily becomes impacted, pressing against the walls of your intestines, stretching them, and creating pain. This pressure can cause cramping, it can radiate into your lower back, and it can even trigger headaches and fatigue. On top of that, the longer stool sits in your colon, the more toxins and waste products linger in your system, which can make you feel sluggish and foggy. This is why people with chronic constipation often describe feeling tired all the time. Even if they've technically rested, their body is weighed down from the inside out. But here's what makes this issue even more devastating. So many people never connect the dots. They blame themselves. They think they're not eating right, they're not exercising enough, or maybe it's just their age catching up with them. And while diet and age do play roles, the hidden culprit, the medication, is rarely questioned. Doctors don't always bring it up unless you push for answers. Pharmacists might mention constipation as a side effect in passing, but they don't always emphasize how severe and life-altering it can be. So people are left in the dark, quietly suffering, blaming themselves, and trying remedy after remedy that never fully works because the root problem isn't being addressed. This is why awareness is such a gift. When you finally understand that your constipation might be caused or worsened by your medication, something shifts inside you. You stop blaming yourself. You start asking better questions. You begin to see your health journey with more clarity. And that clarity is what empowers you to make changes. Maybe your doctor can switch you to a different class of medication with fewer gut side effects. Maybe you can take your pills at a different time of day or in combination with something else that helps counteract the constipation. Maybe you can use supportive strategies like stool softeners or specific probiotics with your doctor's guidance to protect your gut while still benefiting from your medication. And let's not forget the emotional side. Once you realize you're not crazy, that you're not lazy, and that you're not weak, you begin to feel hope again. You realize that constipation is not your identity. It's a symptom, and symptoms can be managed. You realize that you don't have to live every day feeling heavy and trapped. You can feel light again. You can feel comfortable in your own skin again. And you can enjoy life without constantly worrying about your next trip to the bathroom. Now, I know some of you might be listening and thinking, but I can't stop my medication. I need it for my heart, or my pain, or my mental health. And I want to reassure you, this isn't about stopping your medication. Never stop a prescribed drug without your doctor's guidance. This is about balance. This is about working with your body, not against it. This is about making small adjustments, adding supportive habits, and having open conversations with your healthcare provider so you can keep your overall health while also protecting your gut. So, what are some practical steps you can take right now, even before your next doctor's visit? First, track your symptoms. Keep a simple diary of when you take your medications, what you eat, how much water you drink, and when you go to the bathroom. Patterns often reveal themselves in writing that you might not notice otherwise. Second, prioritize hydration with electrolyte. It's not just about drinking water. Sometimes your body needs the right balance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium to help your gut muscles contract properly. Even something as simple as coconut water or a homemade electrolyte drink can make a difference. Third, focus on consistency. The gut thrives on rhythm. Eating meals at the same time every day, sleeping on a regular schedule, and giving yourself unhurried time to use the bathroom in the morning can all help train your body to move more regularly. Another step is to be mindful about what type of fiber you're eating. As I mentioned earlier, soluble fiber can be very helpful because it softens stools, while too much insoluble fiber at once can make constipation worse if your gut is already slowed by medication. Try adding oats, chia seeds, or flax seeds slowly and consistently, rather than dumping a ton of raw vegetables into your system all at once. Your gut will thank you for the gentle approach. I also want to emphasize the role of stress. Medications may be slowing your gut physically, but stress can slam the brakes even harder. Your intestines are highly sensitive to your nervous system. When you're stressed, anxious, or constantly rushing, your body diverts blood away from digestion and into your muscles, preparing for fight or flight. That means your gut gets even less support and constipation worsens. Finding ways to calm your nervous system, whether through deep breathing, meditation, gentle stretching, or simply taking time for yourself, can help bring balance back. As we come toward the close of this journey together, I want to leave you with something hopeful. Constipation may be one of the most frustrating, embarrassing, and exhausting health struggles, but it does not define you. It is not permanent, and most importantly, it is not your fault. If you're on a medication that is causing or worsening your constipation, remember that your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do in response to that drug. You are not broken. You are simply in need of adjustments, awareness, and support. And by being here today, listening, learning, and opening your mind to these possibilities, you're already taking the most important step toward healing. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this time with me. Talking about gut health, especially constipation, is not easy. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and courage. But by having this conversation together, we're breaking the silence and helping people everywhere feel less alone. If this video resonated with you, if it gave you insight, or if it made you feel understood in a way you haven't felt before, please let me know in the comments. Your feedback means everything. And before you go, I'd love to ask a favor. If you found this video valuable, please give it a like. It may seem like a small thing, but every like tells the platform that this is a conversation worth sharing, and it helps this message reach others who might be silently suffering right now. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider joining our community by hitting that subscribe button. When you subscribe, you're not just signing up for more videos, you're becoming part of a family that values health, compassion, and truth. You'll get the latest insights, the most practical tips, and the emotional support you need to feel stronger, lighter, and more confident in your own body. And finally, don't forget to leave a comment. Tell me about your experience, your struggles, or even just that you watched until the end. Your voice matters here. Every comment adds to the collective wisdom of this community, and you never know who might be helped by your words. Together, we can change the way people think about constipation. We can shine a light on the hidden role of medications, and we can give people back the freedom and relief they deserve. So let's take this journey forward together. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Because the more we grow, the more lives we can touch, and the more people we can help step out of the shadows of silent suffering and into the light of healing and hope. You deserve a healthy gut, you deserve relief, and you deserve to feel free in your own body. And I'm here to remind you that it's absolutely possible.